From this point, you can see ensuring that the research method and outcomes do not deplete the natural environment. So this has to do with environment and also aligning the research goal with the United Nations. So meaning, whatever you are going to do in your subsequent research endeavors, you have to ensure that it's within the SDG. So when you ensure that, eventually you may likely have a sustainable research and also developing solutions to address pressing need. The main aim is for you to, it's not just to carry out research, you ask questions, that's why you have research questions. You ask questions and the solution to the questions will not be tools that have been employed so far to measure whether research is sustainable or not, particularly like the life cycle assessment as you can see there, and a lot. Life cycle assessment usually is being performed with sometimes commercial softwares, and also there are some free softwares that can be used. And also you have the triple bottom line analysis, the impact metrics, the carbon footprint, social, whatever, and the framework. The framework in this case is the SDG. Particularly the SDG, your research at least should serve at least one of the SDG, or 2, 3, it's okay. So you should be able to coin your research to serve any of these SDGs, okay? So, but then there are challenges in ensuring that it's not that easy for you to feature your research to serve one of the SDGs. You have issues of funding. You also have interdisciplinary barrier, meaning when you are performing a research that you are the only one doing it, but you need to solve a problem, but you don't have collaborators, so that is also a challenge. The implementation, that has to do with knowledge gap. You have a problem, but you don't know how to go about it. It's a hurdle that limits the achievement of sustainability, and you have the measuring impact, okay? And impactful research. Now, when we talk about impactful research, you are conducting a research that has tangible and measurable benefit. Those are the two words. It has to be significant or tangible, and it has to be measurable. It shouldn't just be a brain exercise, just doing the research for doing sake. So it has to be tangible and measurable, and innovating. It has to be innovative, so you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Because if Mr. A has done it earlier on, what's the point of you repeating it? So you have to improve from the subsequent research that has been done. And also, some research, not all, can inform policy. Okay, so if your research doesn't inform policy development, there is no problem. But if it does, so be it. Okay? So the features now, meaning the characteristics, there are quite a number of characteristics whenever you perform the research, is relevance, innovation, scalability, particularly scalability. The essence of why you are carrying out the research is to be able to scale it to industrial level. If you don't scale the research to industrial level, then it boils down to fundamental research that only add to knowledge. Okay? So if it's still fundamental, fine. If it's scalable to the industry, it's also fine. Okay? Policy integration and measurable outcome. These are some of the features. Okay? So far what we have seen is sustainability and impact of the research. Now we are now talking about the bridge. The bridge, which is you. You are now the bridge. We go to the bridge. You are the bridge now. You are bridging between sustainability and the impact. Okay? So you have to understand your environment. Here you are in UM. It depends, the bridge here depends on which environment you are. If you're in Nigeria, you have to understand the environment you are. Here in UM, if you are carrying out your master's degree program or PhD degree program, there are requirements of graduation. And alongside this requirement, you have noise and signals. So you have to always focus on the signal. The signals are not much. The noise are overwhelming. So you have to don't be carried away by the noise. Always focus on the signals. These I'm talking in vague term. Noise are the problems you find. Maybe you have emailed your lecturer, there is no reply. You are trying to communicate, there is no way to communicate with the lecturer. So you don't give up and you don't take it personal, because mostly in the academic environment, lecturers are also overwhelmed with billions, or let me say hundreds of emails that the lecturer may miss out 1 or 2 emails, so you don't take it personal. You try to seek his presence and go there. That's noise. Not responding to your emails is a noise. Not supporting your research with funding is also a noise. You don't focus on the noise, you focus on the signal. Now the signal is what? You are supported by, let's say, TED Fund, PTDF, personal or self-sponsored. Now these are signals. Leaving Nigeria to Malaysia, you have an objective. That's a signal. You focus on the objective. Why are you here? You focus on it. How far have you gone? I have already covered 4 semesters, 3 semesters, 2 semesters. You focus on that and achieve what you want. Why am I saying this? Is because every lecturer here will be happy to graduate you. So if there are issues of signal issues or noise issues per se, don't take it personal, okay? Try to resolve it. That's why you are postgraduate students and future leaders. So you take the challenge and solve it. Ethics and discipline. Now, ethics and discipline here has to do with academic piggy riding, taking credit for what you have not done. Okay? You have to try to discipline yourself to make sure that you take credit for what you have done, meaning focus and do the research and take credit for it. If you don't do the research, there is no need to take the credit. There is no manipulation to coerce someone to do the work and you take the credit. Those are piggy riding. They are all ethical and discipline issues. And patience and perseverance. It's not that easy. It's easier said than done. Number 1, to understanding your environment, ethics and discipline is easier said. But in reality, it's not easy. So you have to be patient. You have to go into the lab. You have to go into the street, collect your sample. After 6 months, it fails. So you have to welcome failure. So failure is part of it. During my PhD, I repeated an experiment 20 times before getting it the right time, the 21st time. So it's not that easy. So you have to be patient and persevere. You have to be disciplined and you have to understand your environment, understand the personality of the lecturers you're dealing with. I had 4 lecturers during my PhD, all professors with different personalities, and we finished successfully. How did we do it? I tried to understand their personality. Every individual has his or her personality, their behavior. Their behavior must not tally with what your mind is thinking or what you are expecting, but the reality. You manage the reality and focus on the signal, like I said, okay? So the future direction now, you have to also try to welcome all these new ideas, the emerging technologies, the AI, blockchain for transparency. You have to inculcate it. These technologies are not specifically for science or social science. They are generic. So you have to try to welcome this. You mustn't be proficient in AI, but there are experts that can help you. It makes your life easy. If you want to do statistical analysis, you can employ this. You don't need to go through the rigor. to do it manually. You can apply AI technologies, community-driven research, do research that has impact. Researches that are just brain exercise will remain in fundamental level. Only the academics can understand what you are doing. But now the world is turning into impact. Nobody is interested in your in-depth academic analysis or in-depth academic results, but the impact and the results. I had the privilege to work with some industry project and academic project. In the industry, they are more interested in results. So how are you getting the result is not their interest. I can add A and B to give you C. The C has this value and it has this potential to make this profit. That's how the industry thinks. So as a researcher also, you have to think, you have to be a bridge between these two extremes. You think about the final impact of whatever you are working on and the long-term vision also. You are here, you happen to be ambassadors of Nigeria, maybe from China, right? You are an ambassador of China, you? Ambassador of Bangladesh. Eventually you will become UM ambassadors, long term, okay? So wherever you find yourself, Nigerians here, you behave, you become an ambassador of Nigeria, so you show good traits. The same thing, Bangladesh, China, also you show good traits. When you graduate, which you shall graduate in no distant time, you will become an ambassador of UN, okay? But at the end of the day, the ambassadorial term is not that very useful. It's only when you perform something positive or negative, too extreme. If you're neutral, nobody will remember you, okay? So once you perform anything positive, they will ask question, where did you graduate from? UM, right? Negative, where did you graduate from? UM. But in essence, your school of graduate doesn't have a direct value. You are the direct value. At the end of the day, after your PhD, master's, what you are able to deliver is what people see first, not where you graduated from, how many semesters have you done, how many papers have you published. Those things are not very directly relevant when you graduate. It's what you can deliver in the long run, okay? Then the key takeaways. This sustainable research addresses today's challenges while preserving resources. You can see there is addressing and preservation. So you are in between two extremes. Impactful research has a keyword, measurable. It has to be measurable and relevant to the society. And the call for action is you foster collaboration. You need to collaborate because you alone cannot do the work. You have to collaborate with others, okay? So don't worry, they will share the slide with you. They will share the slide. And my last advice is for you to focus and achieve your minimum requirement first. Okay, minimum requirement, very important. PhD, two papers. Master's, 1 paper. Then after the 2 papers, you can decide to do 10 papers, no problem. Okay? And with that, if you follow that step, I think you won't have any problem. Okay? Except if anyone has any question for me. Then we call it a day. Thank you.
Thank you once again, Dr. Ahmed, for the presentation. Please, a round of applause for Dr. Ahmed. I was almost carried away. But unfortunately, time, they say, is not our friend. And we have to run ahead of, before you run ahead of us. So thank you once again for the presentation. Now, the next program on our schedule here is short refreshment and brief history about Nigeria, the people, how Nigeria comes to be, and what have you placed. Oh, sorry, please. I read the protocol now. Let me quickly recognize the presence of Dr. Shuaibu Umar Gokaru, Senior Lecturer, Faculty of Islamic Studies, Universiti Malaya. Please stand up for one of our invited guests is a friend and a brother. He graduated from here. It's one of us, Dr. Kayser Azam. Please stand up for the recognition. So now going to the next program on the schedule here, short refreshment and brief history about Nigeria, its people. We are a rich nation, rich culture. We are 50 years, we are very hardworking, and you don't mess with us. We are anything we are doing, we know how to do it well. Thank you, please.
Different faces, same passion, the best, they are Nigerians. Anytime you see us, we always stand out, the happiest, never downcast. Different cultures, same swagger, above the rest. We are Nigerian. We are one people. Let's pray together. Hope for tomorrow. Let's stand united. And in the future, we'll tell our children we did our best. So Nigeria, we're still the best. We are Nigerian. Giants of Africa, we make the difference. Different professions, same resilience, no contest. We are Nigerians. Anywhere you meet our wages, same carnival. Let's pray together. Hope for tomorrow. Let's stand united.
Vamos
This is Igbo cultural dance from southeastern Nigeria. Very indigenous people.
Okay, maybe we'll invite you out.
So, briefly, this is who we are. This is our people, Hausa up north, Fulani up northern Nigeria, southwestern Nigeria, Yoruba, southern Nigeria, Yoruba, Isekiri, Ijo, and others. Southeastern Nigeria, we have Igbo, Youth, and the rest. These are who we are. And I can tell you, an average Nigerian is very colorful person and hardworking. A friend once told me this story. I don't know how true it is. He said in his class, while doing his master at Kemfa University, Saudi Arabia, somebody complained to him that he doesn't want to have a Nigerian in his class. He was now asking why. He said if an average Nigerian does not become first in their class, he will become second. They are always within number 5. He said they don't give others space. I think where we are, we can't hide ourselves. We are very hardworking. We don't have any choice. Back at home, you'll be told story where you become lazy, where your mates are progressing. So you have to buckle up. So that's who we are. I think we enjoy the cultural dance, the music, and the rest. Now, the next on our table is to call the second keynote speaker in the person of Dr. SM Kayser Azam, is an alumna of UM from Department of So, he's an alumni of UM. He graduated from the Department of Electrical Engineering UM. He has been mentoring people on how to write meaningful research, impactful research, how to get your work published in high-profile journals. And luckily, he's also a high-profile person in the department. Please, let's give the floor to Dr. SM Kayser Azam. Okay. Oh, so this is the source citation of Dr. SM Kayser Azam. He's from Bangladesh, place of my people and my friends. So he had his first degree, BSc from Kudna University of Engineering and Technology. It's a well-recognized university in engineering, Bangladesh. His master is actually from IIUM, Gombak, International Islamic University of Malaysia, Gombak. So he finished his PhD here in UM. Did his fiber early this year. He has been giving talks, lectures on how to write meaningful impacts, how to get your research done on time and get it published in high prestigious journals, so to say. So let me give the floor to Dr. Kayser. Please.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah. والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. Once again, Assalamu alaikum everyone. Kana lahiya, kina lahiya. So I hope everyone is good and a very good morning. Although this is my first experience as a guest in any Nigerian community program. And it's an honor to be here in presence of all of you, especially all the participants and our honorable invited guests. I can see so many friends of mine in front of me, so many friends of mine. I doubt which countries' friends are more than my own countries. I think Nigerian have more friends than Bangladeshi friends and myself in UMIS. So it's really vibrant and catchy culture that this country has. We often share our views and values here at UM in different parts, classroom, research field, even in football field. In any case, so today let's have an interactive session here instead of just giving a speech or the thing that is quite available in all other sources or maybe at your classrooms. Because I still smell as a student. If you smell me, you can smell student. I just finished my PhD, so I know the point of view that most of the PG students have when they immediately start their research in the beginning of their master or PhD program. So from that point of view, I want to share some of my experienced knowledge. I can't say that it's from any book or something that is found raw in any sources. You can find online, you can find in books with your supervisor, but the thing that I'm going to share today is a kind of experienced knowledge from my side. So I titled that thing is the meaningful way to write a research. I could have titled it as how to write a manuscript, how to write a research paper. Instead that I purposefully titled it as meaningful way to write a research. And what does it mean is, you see, what does it mean? So meaning is very important. So nowadays we have ChatGPT, we have artificial intelligence and all the fuzzy and fancy sources that we didn't used to have back in those days. So if you ask any PhD holder, maybe who are supervisors back then, how did you get your PhD? What was the struggle? So they struggled a lot with the data analytics, thesis writing and everything. Nowadays we just by one click or something, we have all stuffs. So what we are missing is the meaning of the research, because a computer program or maybe AI or ChatGPT will do work on behalf of you. But the thing that ChatGPT or AI cannot give you is the meaning that you want to deliver. So that is the missing thing that we're probably facing these days. The students write papers, thesis work, and if the examiners or the even supervisor ask them that how did you get this, they can't actually explain properly because they miss the meaning, the reasoning behind why we conduct a research, and then on that basis how we write a research. So that's the purpose in a nutshell, I can say. So can you just... So these are the contents in introduction, essentials of research, organs of research, and what it means by organ I'll explain it inshallah very soon, and the organization of a research manuscript. So from a research work, we go to manuscript. What is the process, the organization? And then the meaningful way of writing. And then finally, closing remarks. So in the first part, we will discuss about the meaning and purpose of conducting a research. So before going to the hardcore discussion, we can see two different pictures. On your left, someone is sweeping a floor, and on your right, someone is digging something on ground. So what's the difference between sweeping and digging? If I ask you, someone is sweeping a floor just within 1 square meter area, do you call it a sweeping? Possibly not. Okay, I welcome this little young man because from your worldview, that's a big area, by the way. But in any case, someone is sweeping a floor doesn't mean it's a small area. It has to be a big area. It has to cover a big area. So what is the purpose of sweeping things? Sweep actually removes the dirt. Sweeping actually removes all the impurities, unclarities. So you make the surface clear. That's the purpose of sweeping. And it covers a wide, large area. In contrast, digging. Let's say you heard that that place has a hidden treasure, gold mining or something. When people do mining, they perforate it, drill it so deep. Instead of getting wide, they go deeper. So that's a basic difference between sweeping and digging. So what's the relationship with this with the research? Look, when we do the undergraduate programs, we basically do the sweeping. We remove our unclarity, dirt, all the confusion from our knowledge perspective. So our teachers teaches us courses that removes all the confusion and clarity of knowledge, and it covers a wide area. But when you go for higher studies, postgraduate studies, masters or PhD in research programs, what we do is exactly like the digging part. We take a specific area, not the big area, a specific region area, and we're digging, repeatedly digging to find that treasure. That is the purpose of research. This is the basic thing we have to understand. So from that perspective, let's look at the dictionary meaning or some sort of linguistic thing, which are quite important because when you talk about meaning, the deeper understanding of language is very important. So I give a brief. Dictionary meaning says, research means close and careful study. So you see, when you dig something, you close an area, encircle an area. You take a closed thing, you have a scope. You're not going random, wide open. You're taking a closed area to go and deeper. So that aligns with the dictionary meaning. So that from the etymological perspective, The research comes from two words. One is which means a repetition over and over again. And then a French word called chercher or chercheur, whatever, my French is bad. If someone speaks their French, please pardon me. That means something like a circle. So it also aligns with the dictionary meaning. So the academic definition of research is, it's a systematic process of collecting and analyzing information to increase our understanding of a phenomenon under study, which means when you dig something, it is still within a surface. It's not outside a surface. So within this branch of knowledge, you're digging something. So that's the kind of academic definition which also aligns with our understanding we just explained now. So please move on. So the purpose of research, let me drink a bit of water. Excuse me. So purpose of research. If I ask that, what is the purpose of research? There can be many purposes. So technically we're dividing it into two. First is the academic purpose and then the practical purpose. There can be personal purpose. Let's say a man wants to get married with a girl. And the girl says, I want a researcher, I want a PhD holder. My dad says, I can't get married with a man who doesn't have PhD. So he gets the motivation, he gets the purpose that I want to do a PhD just to get married to that girl. So that can be a different thing, but academically speaking, the purpose of research is to contribute to the understanding of a phenomena and to communicate that understanding to others. What it means by this is someone does a research and he's just keeping it within himself. He's not expressing to the world, to others, to the peers. So what is the purpose? There's no purpose. Someone does a research, but he's not communicating his peers. So that should be one of the core purpose of research, academically speaking, that it should be communicated to others. And what is the practical purpose? Well, you can come up with your own purpose, practical purpose, but what I am convinced with most is, I would rather call, is to make beneficial contributions for people. What I mean by is, there are so many research going on in the world, different parts of the world. For example, genetic engineering. In genetic engineering, there can be a research where people come up with new disease, just like COVID-19. So what do you call it? It's a good purpose or bad purpose? Of course, it's a bad purpose. So research should be done for the benefit of the people. Now, in part 2, we are trying to understand what are the necessary factors of evaluating a research. What I mean by is, when we talk about research, what should be the factors of it, where we have to focus? Now, in this picture, what do you see? Any idea from the audience what it is? It's a food, very famous food. It's a biryani, exactly. So this is a famous biryani picture. Of course, from my country, it's not the Indian version that you see in the internet, it's from Bangladesh especially. It's called kachi biryani, very delicious, wish I could treat you all. So what is the relationship between research and kachi biryani, or biryani rather? Okay, when you judge the taste of a food, just like biryani, what are the criteria that you follow to judge a food? Let's say you go to a restaurant and they serve a food, you order biryani and they serve biryani to you. Now you're tasting it, you find, oh, well, the taste is good, but I think it's not that warm enough. So that's one of the criteria, that it's not well cooked. And then, well, I think the oil is a little high. It's too oily. I don't like that oily food. Or maybe the whole thing is good. The food is superb. 5 out of 5. You give rating. So, go back. So the 5 out of 5 rated food is still good, but if it is presented to you in a bad manner, let's say the restaurant waiters are not behaving good, or the environment is too dirty, you'll not give probably 5 out of 5. So it's not just about food, it's also about how it is presented to you. Is that so? So from that perspective, from biryani comes back to research now. A research can be evaluated, can be assessed in terms of three basic things. First one is the content. Content means what are its theory. Just like the biryani, which rice it's used, what sort of oil it's used, that's what we call content. So the content of research means its theory, its method, its technique, its experimental works, data, all the stuffs that you have, ingredients, these are the contents. So if anything is not well within the content, most likely your examiner or the reviewer of your journal article paper, they will reject it. Or they will probably give you a major corrections. Then comes the methodology, which actually means a kind of total strategy. It's a universal procedure or philosophical framework that you follow. So what I mean is, there's a subtle difference between method and methodology, and many students, I think they fail to understand it. There's a huge difference between method and methodology. What it means by method can be anything, your technique. I mean, generally speaking, any technique that you follow to conduct your research. But methodology is a kind of framework that can be reproduced by others. It's a kind of universal process that everyone follows. If you violate that framework, then it is no longer a scientific research. It goes to any other domain. That's called the methodology. Just like the biryani, if you want to cook a biryani, maybe the biryani can be Pakistani, Indian, Yemeni, or Bangladeshi, whatever flavor, whatever content that you have. But if the biryani is cooked like a boiled water or fried, that's not biryani anymore. Or even way further, you have to lit fire, you have to heat it, warm it, it takes time. So all this set universal procedure, that's called the methodology. So for cooking food, you can't cook food with only water. You have to set fire. You need temperature. So that kind of methodology, universal framework. Now the communication, the last thing is the communication or the presentation. Just like I said, if a good food is presented in front of you with a bad manner and a dirty environment, you don't like it. So that also can be another reason of any research being rejected or given a major correction. So communication means the writing, the verbal presentation at a conference. So for thesis, let's say, master's and PhD students, they have two types of presentation, two types of communication. First is the written one. So when you submit your PD, proposal defense, CD, candidature defense, or the final defense, you have a thesis, you have a report. This is the written form. And you have another thing is the viva, verbal presentation. So you have both communication, the written one and the verbal one. And why both are needed? It's because to judge you whether you really conducted this research by yourself or not, whether you really understood it or not, or what is your ability. Because human beings, it's like, have the ability of clear speech, clear and clarifying speech. Yeah? That's like in the Quran, Allah says, Ar-Rahman allama al-Quran, khalaqa al-insana allamahu al-bayan, the clear speech that God has given us. So the ability of a researcher is one of the necessary abilities, has to communicate well with others by any form. So if one student fails to do the verbal communication, maybe his written communication is good. So overall, he can be assessed good. He can be given a pass mark instead of fail or something like that. But when you present at a conference, why all the authors are not presenting the same paper at the same time? Because the best presenter should be there at the conference, because it's the only medium of communication. And at the same time, when you submit to a journal, then the journal is only the written one. So it doesn't matter who is a good speaker. There is the needed who has the good writing skill. Now we are going to talk about those sort of things, the writing skill. So in terms of all of it, the first thing, the content, an examiner or a reviewer will look for your work for this criteria. So number one is the novelty. How novel your content is. Is it the same thing that the people did already? Or if you are coming with a new thing? So that's the first thing, novelty. Second thing is the contribution. Let's say, although you have contribution, novelty, you did something really new, but you don't have contribution that much to the societal level. That is, this work probably cannot be implemented to the society. Although it's a novel idea, but It has nothing to do with the things that people normally use in their lives. There's no benefit in people's life. The third thing, which is very important, is significance. And many students, as per my understanding and experience, fail to understand what its significance means. I'll give you an example. If there's someone from communication background, probably they will understand. Communication is telecommunication. We have, 5G, 4G. 5 minutes now. Significance is, technically speaking, the thing that is already obsolete, no longer used for the humanity. If you do something even novel, if you have contribution, it's not valid anymore. So all these things are very important. Now, fundamental parts of a research, Everything in life, we have a purpose. We know that you can't really see your things by your nose, so everything has a purpose. So in research, all these organs, just like the human body, organs have purpose. We walk by foot, we can't walk by eyes. So all these organs of the research have specific purpose. And what is the purpose? That background study, when you do the background study, that's the basic knowledge, to understand the basic knowledge. Literature review, the purpose is to knowing the state of the art. The problem statements, what is the purpose? Is to finding the research gaps. Objectives, the purpose of objective is the specific solution of that problem that you identify. And research design, what's the purpose of it? Is the technical comprehension of the solution. So you come up with a solution, you're claiming that I identified few problems in this field, and these are the solutions, but you're not really expanding comprehensible solution you're giving it. So this comprehension, that anyone can understand it, can reproduce your research, this is the purpose of research design. And the resultant analytics is the outcomes that you found from your research, is that one. And the finally is the conclusion that you give, contribution and significance that we just discussed. Moving forward. I'm not going to, probably we are ahead of time. I was informed that I have probably 30 minutes or something like that. So I prepared the slide in terms of that 30-minute presentation. But, okay, let's say I met a tall, handsome person. Tall, handsome guy. If I say this, what comes in your mind? Someone who is tall, has a good figure, something like that. So all the features that he has gives you a kind of impression, kind of essence, attributes. This is called abstract. The abstract thing, you can't really figure it out. So the manuscript body is something like the head, the hands, the core, everything. That's the body. But the thing that you can't really see is the abstracted thing. So abstract is not someone's body part. Rather, it's a kind of essence or descriptive thing that he has. That's why in your research manuscript, the abstract is not any under section. So the section starts with the introduction, which is the body of the paper. But the abstract doesn't have any section name. Is that so? In the same way, the title, if I give that man a title, the handsome, like something, you give a title, good title. If I say a tall guy, a little person, is that a good title or bad title? Of course it's a bad title, because it doesn't represent his essence, his abstract, his qualities. That's why it's a bad title. So title and abstract are out of the body of the manuscript. But within the body of the manuscript, what do you have? The introduction and the conclusion. See in the picture on your right, introduction is the first thing, and the conclusion is the last thing. So you're heading towards a conclusive statement. That is basically the purpose of your research, that on a problem, you are doing the research to find out a conclusion. So you can clearly understand your head and your leg are not the same thing. Just like that, your introduction and conclusion are not the same thing. Just like I have probably 1 or 2 minutes now. So before going that, I give you a conclusive, probably good words. Just like when somebody dies, they speak something very valuable so that everyone can take it as a home note, take a home note. Just like that, conclusion is something like that. What are your most important outcomes? What are your achievements, significance? That's what you tell in the conclusion. But in the introduction, that's how you design the thing. What is your argument behind doing this research? So you can, from this discussion, you can understand abstract, introduction, conclusion are not the same thing. So probably that can help one bit, Google. So if someone is interested to get this slide, probably I can deliver to you, or you can collect from my dear brother Nasir, because we are ahead of time. I can't really finish probably, and yeah, go for that. Yeah. So yeah, just here. So before finishing, I just say something about this abstract and title, rather title, because I already discussed something about the abstract. Now let me finish with some major things about title. If I asked, just I said, a tall person, his name is Little, it doesn't make any sense. So what is a good title? A good title should include, as per my understanding, 3 questions. Number 1, what you did. Number 2, how you did. Number 3, why you did. A good title should capture all these 3 questions answered, as per my understanding. What is like the what you did? How is the method? The keyword, the most important keyword that represents your howness of the word. How you did it. That is the answer that should be included in the title. And the final thing is why. Let's say for this application, for biomedical thing, for elderly people, something like that. So all these things are in my slide. You can probably collect it and probably go through. And if you have any question, probably you can ask later. So thank you very much. I think I should not take more time.
Thank you, Dr. Kayser. Like I said earlier on, he has been giving talks on how to write research and all stuff. If you observe very well, it started from the basic, in fact, from the grammatical level up to the advanced stage. I think most of us, if we have had more time, personally I would have wanted to give you even 1 hour. After 1 hour, I can ask questions, but we have other things to do. Now, once again, please, help me approach Dr. Kayser for the presentation. Thank you. Visualization. The UM, he was born and raised in Gokaru, a village very close to Al-Helari local government, Bauchi State. Alhamdulillah, Rabbil Alameen.
أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم وصلي وأسلم على مصطفى صلى الله عليه وسلم وعلى آله وعلى صحابته أجمعين. أما بعد, first of all, it is my unique privilege and opportunity to engage with you here today. I'm deeply and profoundly grateful to my brother, the chairman, NiSCUM, and his escorts for the excellent job that they have been doing, which I believe for all the time that I'm here in UM, this set of escorts, they are doing the most excellent job, because they are always day and night trying to unite all members from Nigeria, and they are trying to establish a kind of wonderful relationship with others from other countries. And I wish you all the best, and I pray to Allah to give you the ability to continue exhibiting this kind of excellent job. At the same time, I would like to recognize the presence of my senior colleagues on the high table, my dear brothers and sisters, the participants, the new student that recently joined the University Malaya. I can say Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Without taking much of time, all that I just want to say has already been said. It is just only a little bit of something that I just want to share with you, particularly just because of my experience in academia, which, as the speaker or the MC already mentioned some of the things, but Alhamdulillah, I just first came to Malaysia in 2013, where I started my master at the International Islamic University Malaysia, IIUM, which I just only finished in 2014. Since then, I went back to Nigeria where I stayed for some few months. Later, I came back to continue my PhD here in Universiti Malaya from 2015 to 2017. So, based on the experiences that I received here in this university, what I just want to share with you today is just all about some of the things that my senior brother, Dr Ahmed Halilu, shared with us. What I can begin with, any postgraduate program is politics. Particularly, PhD is politics. Why PhD is politics? It's a kind of special Republican or patient, where you as a researcher, as a student, you must know how to play politics with your supervisor. You must know how to play politics, particularly if you have two supervisors. If you don't know how to play politics with them, definitely you may end up in trouble. Particularly sometimes one among them will ask you even to change, to leave him alone to be your supervisor. If care is not taken and agree with him, definitely you may end up in trouble. And this is something that is commonly happening everywhere. So we have to be very careful in the sense that you must know how to play politics. You must know how to please everyone among them. And you must know how to convince them when it comes to consultation. You must know how to balance the issue between the two supervisors. Sometimes we incline toward one and renegate the other. This is the starting point that to some extent we may come across with a lot of issues. What I can tell you here today in UM, if you're having two supervisors, don't think that there is major and minor, both of them playing same role. Because as far as what KPI in UM is concerned, if you have two supervisors, then you can get the marks similar whether you are 1 or 2 or 3, whatever. Because in the portal, there is no any demarcation to say that this is 1, this is 2. So we have to be very careful. Don't think that this is my major supervisor or this is the second or whatever. It is only in UM that this thing is practicing. So let us keep this in our mind and let us respect our supervisors. Don't renegade any among your supervisor to say that this is the only one that you can always have consultation with. Try to have consultation with both of them. Once you have something with the first or the second or whatever, try to interact. Whatever you discuss with the first, try to interact with the second. Don't just let them behind until when you come to do your proposal, then you can face a lot of criticism. The other one will say that he doesn't know anything about what you are doing. And it is the time that he say he is not agreeing with what you are doing and he is not satisfied. And the department will not allow you even to present your proposal. So we have to take this seriously. Another important thing, as we know, the reason why I say PhD is a Republican or patient, you must be patient all the time. I remember when I started my PhD here, when I met my supervisor, she asked me, did you know what is PhD? I said, Doctor of Philosophy. She said, no. I said, okay. But in my expectation, I already answered. She also asked me, just think deeply. I said, this is only what I know. But she said, okay, PhD is thinking. Whatever you are doing, you are thinking. If you are even sleeping, you are thinking. It is only if you are doing PhD sometime, you can write many pages, but you alone, you can delete all. Because in your mind, you believe that it doesn't sound anything. And that's why sometimes, if you are doing PhD, you will be somewhere, but your mind totally not there. You are thinking something different. This is PhD. So that's why, to some extent, sometimes we can say PhD is a brain damage. It's a brain damage. Because you will experience this when you come to do your CD or your Viva. Your supervisor cannot defend you in any way. He will just leave you alone. So that's why sometimes don't ever expect that the funnel for your proposal or CD or whatever, they know all what you drafted. So it is only at the moment someone will just glance at something and ask you, then you may surprise where he get this. So that's why you must familiar with whatever you are writing. That's why in research, ask yourself before you write, what am I going to write? If you reason that it is not something meaningful, you better leave it. And if you write something that you cannot defend it, you better leave it. Every single paragraph, as a PhD student or as a master student, because now you are in the advanced level, you must ask yourself, how I can analyze this paragraph and what will be the in and out of this. If you don't know the answer, you better delete it. So that's how it is. And at the end, sometime in the Bible, one among the panel members will ask you, what is new in your research, or what is new in your PhD thesis? Could you summarize what is new, what is innovative, something that is meaningful, something that can add additional knowledge? If not, definitely there is a problem. And that's why sometimes someone will ask you, there is no linkage between what you are doing. You cannot provide any important knowledge. You cannot do this and that. How you can defend it? So that's why we must use our faculty of reasoning. And that's why all our eyes, ears, whatever, Almighty Allah gave us just to think deeply, to understand, that is the surrounding and all what we are doing. It is not just only to see something and leave it, but you better ask yourself, what is the philosophy? What is the rational wisdom? So these are some of the things. Another important thing that I just want to share with you, which will be the last point, that is perseverance. We must always feel ready and so interested in all what we are doing. If you are not focused, definitely there is problem, and you must be patient. Sometimes your supervisor will ask you to do something. Don't argue with your supervisor, particularly if he asks you, can you meet me today or tomorrow at so time? No matter what you have, try to look at this as the most and the significant and discuss the rest. So that's how we can succeed. And I wish you all the best. For those that already finished, may Allah bless your journey to attain the most highest success in your life. For those that already just started, may Almighty Allah ease for you to find it most easier and to finish on time, also to graduate without any difficulties. Thank you for the opportunity, and God bless you all. Wassalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you, Dr. Shuaibu, for the presentation. I think he gave a lot of advice that most of us can recognize with. Me personally, he said something about writing 5 lines. At the end of the day, you delete all but one. I don't want to talk about that. Most of us know it's hardest truth. You talked about having encounters with sometimes with your supervisor. You just have to say sorry. If you don't say sorry, you may just stand in the same position. So,
I know what a PhD is. If you allow me to define it to you, PhD means P for people, H for high, and D for depression. So I would encapsulate whatever you have said, that you have to face a lot of challenges. This simply means people with high depression. If you don't have depression in PhD, you have not done a PhD.
Department of Psychology, Faculty of Medicine. He has his PhD here from UM. He's also a lecturer from Federal University, Kayser Azam. Dr. Quazim has over 17 articles. He has co-authored over 17 articles. He has authored and co-authored over 17 articles. So let me give the floor for him to give some talks on sustainable and impactful research as we embark on this journey. Please welcome Dr. Shuaibu.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm really grateful for the opportunity given to talk. Though most of my senior colleagues here have spoken a lot, so I'm not sure what I want to say. Yeah. So permit me, the I guess, to say something. Okay. Okay. When I was approached by the chairman of, I said, okay, it should be a party. I don't want to give any, because my Monday to Friday is always hectic. So I don't want to say anything on weekends to come and present anything. I just want to talk. Come talk, let's eat. I always love going to Nigerian occasions. Yes, even while I was a student, I worked from, even I sleep in the lab many times. I can't even count. Even till now, my student can testify. But my weekends, I don't joke with it. And I want to just talk on based on that. And I want to start from where my colleagues, my senior colleagues have stopped when they talk about PhD. Actually, my little talk was just to talk about the roadmap to successful PhD. Many people have talked about the definition of PhD. Actually, if you really know the definition, it's the beginning of your success. Be it, I want to talk about the three things concerning the roadmap. Is first, your definition of research. Two, your interrelationship with your supervisor. Then the third, balancing academics and your research. The lifestyle, balancing the lifestyle and your research. If you're able to manage these three things, forget about it, you are done. Now, concerning what is PhD, many definitions have been given. Permanent head damage, people with high depression. Fine, that is it. I can remember at a point in time, I was telling my wife that if I had not married you, with my intense activities in the lab, I would never marry. It's a reality. Because I spent 80% of my time in the lab. I come back home 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m. I'm back again in the lab by 6, 7 a.m. So where's the life? So I was able to relate that, okay, when you see all these white people like, oh, okay, you see them, they don't marry. That is one of the reasons. People get, and funny enough, at the point I said that, it was because I was already engrossed in what I was doing. I think doing everything with my research. I was just there physically at home. I was not there in terms of everything, because all my mind is about what I want to do next in my experiment. Okay, after I finish this experiment, what's next? That has just been all my thinking at that point in time. And that is one of the reasons why you see some of your supervisors, maybe there is no social life or no other side of it. That is just a mirror reason. And it's very painful to some of them when they now have a student of, okay, you were just like, okay, I come 8 to 5, oh, okay, I'm going for my family listening. Then it's like, oh, so me, I don't know how to do this. Me, I don't know how to do this. That is the reality. So, first, when you come in, you must understand what is your role as a student. What is expected of you as a PhD student? The definition of PhD student. Some will tell you, okay, it's a terminal degree, fine. But there's a cogent reason being a terminal degree. That will be with original research. That word original research defines it all. And Dr. Kayser here have really talked about what it's all about research, purpose of research. So when you have this understanding, then you have, the next point of your action is your relationship with your supervisor. Because your supervisor is not the one that will not sit down, okay, come, this is this. No, nobody has time for that. That is the reality. And that is where the beginning of issues with your supervisor start from. I've seen students, even before coming in, the supervisor rejected that, oh, please, at this point in time, I cannot take this student because there are too many dependencies. I've seen people, supervisor tell you, please own the ownership of your work. And that is the reality. For as a PhD, you are the owner of your work. The little the supervisor can do is to give a guidance. Maybe provide funds. We in medicals or science or engineering provide research funds for you to, complete some of the part of the study. If you are lucky enough, maybe grants supporting your work. However, when like I said, definition of what you are doing, research and PhD, when you understand that, then your relationship with supervisor then is next. Then how do you come in this? We always have this complicacy as Nigeria to some extent because of our background, some of us. For instance, we love calling a lot as Nigerians. We're like, oh, okay, I want to meet with this person, let me call. But it's not the same thing, how try it here. So you have to understand that. So these are some of what Professor they said, talk about citizenship, and they say, you must understand the people you are dealing with. Your supervisor, you understand their ways. Yeah, they prefer communication through, send SMS, send email. And again, and truly, it's not until when I join the system I understand the reason why it's, because like I may be in a meeting, then you called me, it's a distraction. I may be preparing for a lecture, you called me, it's a distraction. At times, I may be in a very bad mood. And here, mostly, as much as possible, they want to be humanely, to treat you humanely. That is, not to offend you at the same time, not to say something to, because they know people might be emotional. So, but when you communicate through, like, okay, send SMS, this and that, then at their time, they will respond, which is good for everyone. Okay? But at times, I know as Nigeria, we may be like very forceful, like, okay, I want to meet this person now, be called. Let me just tell you my experience. My first meeting with my supervisor. No, okay, the first meeting was okay. Then subsequently I was like, okay, let me just go and greet the Prof. I just entered. Oh, the next thing, Prof, said, do I have an appointment with you? Oh, then I said, okay, welcome. So nobody told me. I did that second time. I said, okay, we're supposed to, I was like, okay, I want to ask for some things and the likes. Then I was like, oh, come on, Prof. Oh, do I have a meeting with you? Or do I have an appointment with you? Then I realized, okay, everything has to be done with appointment. Lesson number 1. So that you don't need somebody to, it's not written anyway, but you just have to like technically or psychologically just know, okay, this is how things is being done. So subsequently then I was like, okay, I'll just send him and say, please, Prof, can I meet you in the next 30 minutes? Just for 5 minutes. Even among colleagues now, you cannot send message to your colleagues anything above beyond the working hour. I must apologize first. Sorry for contacting you this period. I just need that. That is, because people they take the work serious at the period of time, okay, and be paid to work from 8 to 5. That is sacrosanct. Nothing can change that. But anything beyond that, then you need permission. You need to apologize. You need to like, okay, please. So if we understand some of these salient things, then you don't have to problem with your supervisor. Also, beyond that as well, Dr. Shuaibu also made mention of something. Transparency is very important as well. When you're dealing with your supervisor, be transparent. Communication. Don't allow, I know some of us, okay, maybe I don't just want to talk about my experience as a Nigerian and having supervised Nigerian students, even here, having some issues. So you can imagine if we to translate that to Nigerian under any of the locals. It's somehow funny. And all this has to boil down to your ability to come down to the level of what you came here for. Fine, you may not be as, workaholic with your supervisor, but there are minimum that has been expected as well. And I was talking about the roadmap. When you come in, don't expect your supervisor to set the roadmap for you. No, you do that yourself. And what are these? Some of these guidelines have already been stated. We have, even from your admission letter, your criteria for graduations are there. From the faculty, the graduation criteria are there. Sit down. I like this roadmap yourself. Okay, my first 2 semesters, I want to achieve this. Okay, for this, I have 5 experiments. First semester 2, I want to achieve this. Make sure that when you have this, by your first or second meeting with your supervisor, communicate this so that they are also aware that, okay, this, you have your timeline. Your supervisor also has timeline, that is the reality. So, do you know that there is guidelines for students in UM? Please, you can Google it, it's available. These guidelines binds both supervisor and the student. So your role as student is already stated. There are many roles. And also, these roles there are also roles stated for supervisor as well. Please, if you have not get yourself acquainted with this, please do so. Because there have been issues, and they will always be, because we are talking about dealing with humans, and definitely we will always be different. Okay? So, then also another thing I want to talk about is Dr. Gokaru, so talk about this, about your relationship with you're having 2 more or 3 supervisors. Fine, you may be diplomatic as well. Though he made mention of something that that according to UM, all the supervisors are equal. But in reality, for instance, we in science and this, we are not expected to have the same equal supervisor on the same field. No. You are expected to have somebody is covering one particular aspect of the work, the another person is talking about particular of this. So in that case, you may sense that you have a major or minor, but not really major or minor, but you know that major part of this work, about 70%, this is the person that is expert in it. So there is no bad or this in that, knowing that you must liaise involved with this person. Maybe the expert of this other person is the statistical analysis. Then when it comes to statistical analysis, you relate. Along the line, you must relate to them and in fact, you make sure that in most cases you have meetings with them concurrently or at the same time. It's always better that way, so that they all carry along. Okay? So that same guideline is stated that your first semester you must meet your supervisor 2 times in a month. It's your role. But please, don't wait for them to call you. You can always stage first meetings. Prof, can we meet next week? So these are some of your rules. Okay? Then, lastly, I want to talk about balancing the lifestyle and this. Fine. In fact, like what we see here today, it's just what is happening in UM. I was telling my Dr. Adeleke, I said, UM, you always find it difficult to find people because everybody is so, tidy up, as in, so busy, serious and everything. But the reality is, this kind of gathering, we need it at times. And not even these gatherings alone. One of the ways you can also forge ahead in your work is attending seminars, attending conferences. Not only attending this, you may meet with colleagues and even just liaising and talking about your work alone. You may get some suggestion, that may even be of helpful to you. Okay? Then, another way of balancing this is engage in sports. Like I said, I don't joke with my weekends. No matter how I want to sleep in the lab, do all the work, I play football, I play badminton. So my Saturday and Sundays, I don't joke with that. Because that's the only way I can balance it. And if there is this Owambe, just like this one, then I make sure I take. Because there's no way you want to wind down. This just have to balance it. If not, then the permanent air damage becomes very realistic. Okay, so thank you very much.
Please, a round of applause for Dr. Olawale Junaid again. The presentation was nice, but we are ahead of time. So please let me call on Dr. AbdulRahman Adeleke from Institute of Infrastructure, National Energy University Unite. Dr. Adeleke is currently a senior lecturer at Unite. He was a research fellow at Universiti Malaysia. His expertise lies in wastewater management, while he focused on creating sustainable treatment technologies. Dr. Adeleke has extensive experience in environmental management, pollution analysis, and the modeling and the optimization of process variables for enhanced operational system. Dr. Adeleke work include water quality assessment, prediction of surface and subsurface water, stormwater pollution, using geographical information system, modeling of water quality parameters and water view. So please, let's give the first to Dr. Adeleke for his presentation. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm so honored to be here. First and foremost, I want to thank the organizers of this event for the honor of the invitation, and to my senior colleagues on the high table, and to everyone, without unmindful of my darling wife and my kids. Yeah, thanks so much for all being here. So I want to speak from the perspective of all that have spoken, just on one thing: research. I want to make it interactive. In my 10 minutes, I want to make it very interactive. What do we call research? What is research? When we say research, we are talking about critical inquiry into an hypothetical reasoning, hypothetical thoughts. You are trying to align some thoughts, you are trying to bring them together to achieve an expected outcome. Now that comes to mind, what is the frame, what is the expectation that you have in terms of developing an hypothesis? I would like to ask a question, and I would want an answer. I want to share a story about 4 friends. There was this story about 4 friends named everybody, somebody, anybody, and nobody. Ladies and gentlemen, there was an important job to be done by these friends. Everybody was sure somebody will do it. Anybody could have done it, but nobody did it. So it ended that everybody put the blame on somebody, while nobody did the job anybody could have done. So back to the audience, who is to blame? Who is to blame? Yes. Who do we blame? Yes. Yes. Who is to blame? Nobody. Someone said nobody. Yes. Another answer? Everybody. 2. All of them. 3. So that is the reality about research. There is no specification in terms of what is the expected outcome. Research is about you developing an hypothesis within the framework of your hypothesis. So that is why it is somehow difficult for you to expect your supervisor to know better than you. You hardly could know what you are doing except when you get to the end result. That is what research is all about. So nurturing research hypothesis is the fundamental thing that must be done in terms of achieving your end result, which is what you intend to achieve as a researcher. Now, there is something that is very fundamental: your definition of scope. What kind of researcher do you want to be? Do you just want to submit your thesis and you end up that adventure? Or you want to be a high flyer researcher that you want to nurture your skills and expertise to a greater height? So that is something that you define, okay? And to define that, it means you are going to do extensive work. I'm not trying to scare you, but the extensive work that I'm talking about is about you being able to develop a well-grounded hypothesis. Now, what is an hypothesis? Hypothesis is about, if this is this, then this could be this. That is the first thing you are going to do as a researcher. If this is this, then this is likely to lead me to this. Okay? Afterwards, you develop your research questions. So if this is this, then if I could use this, there is tendency that I could achieve this. Then by developing your research questions, that leads you to your research objectives. So you have to, everything is standardized, everything is systematic. That leads you to your research objectives. And what do you really do with your research objectives if there is no problem? There must be a problem. There must be a problem that you intend to solve. So that is developing a research gap. You must have identified a research gap before you could develop your research objectives to solve your problem statement. Make your research to stand out. For your research to stand out, it means you are so conversant with the up-to-date information about that research domain. It means you are a researcher who is so current with the research trend. That is through extensive literature review. You must always be in tune. You must always be very versed in your research area. That is by true, constant review of literature. Make no mistake about it. There are researchers who would want to start writing their thesis after the lab. Wrong. The first thing you do after you must have finished your registration and all those protocols is to start writing your thesis, and that might be a bit confusing to you. That how do I start writing my thesis without even starting lab? You start writing your thesis right from day one, right? Then what happens is that you keep updating your thesis. It means you have to be building your literature review. You must always review literature. That is by constantly reading articles, high impact factor articles in that research areas. Then with that, you'll be able to keep writing. You have to be addicted. You have to be an addicted writer. Addiction in writing. You have to be very, very conversant with being addicted with writing. So make sure you add value to your thesis, add value to your research. It could be just a very little thing that you are adding to literature. Nothing so complicated, right? I do not want to scare you with what my senior colleagues have said, or permanent head damage. I might not really subscribe to that, okay? Because there is no, you are not reinventing, you are not inventing anything. You are only trying to reinvent the wheel within the scope, within the confine of your research questions. You are just adding little thing to what has been established. Then you nurture what has been established to a very standardized level that is going to be acceptable in the scientific community. And once you can achieve that, then I congratulate you that you are made as a researcher. And once you get to that extent of being able to justify your research questions and objectives, I will employ you to be very smart. And with what we were able to do, then it was easy for us to be sorted out after even our PhD. My first job was in USM. Barely when I dropped my thesis, I had two offers, one in UTHM as a faculty position, lecturer, then the other one in USM teaching fellow. And how did this happen? I was able to nurture my research questions. I was able to develop some research ideas that stood a test of time. Then what did I do? I was smart enough to patent my research. So I patented my research, went for international innovation awards. I was able to win gold in South Korea and ITEX. I don't know whether you know ITEX Malaysia. So go for awards, patent your research, put up your research proposal. If probably you've been able to achieve, you've been able to develop your research ideas to the extent of writing proposal, then take it to the next level. Discuss with your supervisor. We could do, with this my research, we could actually apply for research grants. Not really because of the necessity for you. You might be under maybe sponsorship from your university. Your ability to win research grant will give you that kind of pedigree that during my research I was able to win research grant with my research proposals. So that's, you should be able to be mindful of. Then go for, yes, we said it all. Dr. Junaid just said it, life balance. You have to balance your work ethics with your life out of your research domain. That is when you are psychologically fit to be able to work optimally. So you have to ensure work balance. Then another thing that I've probably talked about everything here, then manuscripts. This is very, very important. You have to, even if your supervisor said you should give 2 papers, except you just want to develop, except you want to submit your 2 papers for graduation, then it's fine. But if you want to go to the next level and you have your novelty, do as many as possible. Do as many as possible publications in high-flying impact factor journals. You know what is going to happen when you do that? Everything is interconnected in the research community. You publish in high impact factor journal, your visibility is already there in the research, international research domain. It means whenever there is any work in that area, you are already in the database. You will be invited to review. This is just, it's not that they invite you based on friendship, no. It's because you are already an established expert in that area. So when it comes to like trying to find a reviewer for that very work, you will be invited. So it is what gives you visibility that also necessitates you to be a reviewer, and that is your ability to write research papers in the web of high impact factor journals, most especially as first author. Don't let some supervisors usually have this hanky-panky. You have to play smart too, not to, just like Dr. Shuaibu said, that there are diplomacy, and our senior colleague, Prof, he also started with diplomacy. You have to be very diplomatic in dealing with your supervisors. You need to master the temperament of your supervisors. That is very, very important. maybe he or she is the type that doesn't really entertain pushy kind of tendency. You have to respect that inclination, and you work towards what your supervisor's kind of being is for you to achieve what you want. You don't have to, you just need to go by the flow. Then you have to make sure that you ensure that your supervisor is actually leading you towards, not for himself, but for your research. There are some supervisors, the first thing they do is, they will make it look like they are very nice, you understand? They just want you to do some papers, you have to do one review and all that. Fine, if you can actually go by that flow, fine. But if maybe by kind of your tendency, you are not really inclined to that, you can respectfully have audience with that, with such scenario that, Prof, I'm really so likely to perform optimally with research papers. It's negotiation, it's about discussion, how you are able to convince your supervisor diplomatically. We have one incident then in USM, when I was a teaching fellow there, one of the PhD students, I think a Nigerian, he was a bit aggressive. He probably wanted to go to Nigeria, maybe for holiday or so. So the supervisor was like, no, you cannot, why not maybe achieve one of these objectives or kaza like that. And there was conflict there was no mutual kind of, yes, they were not in phase, and that was really terrible. It's provoked a lot of chain reactions, and one thing about it, just like Dr. Shuaibu said, you might not really look at it from the angle of research. When it comes to some of these things, you see unseen ants dealing with you kind of. So try to find a way to understand your supervisors and try to achieve the best in your research adventure. And I wish you all the best. Once again, thank you so much for the invitation.
Dr AbdulRahman Adeleke for his presentation. Please, a round of applause for him once again. Now, I want to thank the invited guests again for coming. We know your schedule is tight. I hope it has been tight. But for finding out, for creating time out of your tight schedule to be here, we appreciate you. And we ask Allah to reward you abundantly in this world and thereafter. Thank you once again for coming. Now, on behalf of the NiSCUM ESCO, on behalf of the NiSCUM ESCO and the channel, I've been made to announce that the ESCO, henceforth from today, stand dissolved because they have actually outstayed their tenure. But because everybody is engaged in their research, they don't have time. We have not been having time to conduct transition. And henceforth from here, the transition has begun. So we can now see the chairman, the secretary.